Have you ever noticed? The more you want something, the farther it seems to drift away. The more you hope for a message, the longer the silence grows. The more you crave to be seen, to be chosen, to be loved, the more invisible you feel. Maybe it's not because you're doing anything wrong. Maybe it's the energy you're carrying that's been speaking for you all along. Every day, whether you're aware or not, you are broadcasting something. Not with your words, not even with your actions, but with your frequency. The invisible field that pulses out from who you are. You might smile on the outside. You might say you've let go. You might write inspiring captions, repeat affirmations. But if your heart is whispering, "I'm still waiting, I still need, I'm still not enough," then that is what the world is hearing. And the world, it doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to who you are. Chasing doesn't always look desperate. Sometimes it looks composed, grounded. Spiritual, I'm just checking in. I'm staying open. I'm aligning with what I desire. But beneath the surface, there's often a soft, aching plea. Please show me that I'm worthy. But you're checking your phone 10 times, overanalyzing silence, imagining dozens of scenarios. You are no longer in balance. You're no longer trusting. You're chasing. And energetically, chasing says, "I'm lacking. I need something outside me to feel whole. I need someone to validate my worth." That frequency doesn't pull things toward you. It pushes them away. Because anything that's born from fear, from scarcity, from the ache to be filled, carries the vibration of repelling. Here's a hard truth many aren't ready for. You don't attract what you want. You attract what reflects who you are becoming. Think about that. It's not your vision board that shapes your future. It's the energy you're vibrating right now. You can want love with your whole heart, but if the frequency you send out is, "I've never truly been loved, I still feel unseen," then guess what? You'll keep attracting people who make you wait, who don't choose you, who stay distant, because they are mirroring what you haven't yet healed. The universe doesn't respond to your words. It listens to your whispers, your wounds, your emotional tone, the one you carry in silence. So the real work, it's not in the tactics, not in texting strategies, not in doing things right. It's in one powerful question: what am I truly broadcasting when no one is looking? Because the moment you stop chasing, stop needing, stop reaching out, hoping to be chosen, you shift. Your frequency changes. And when your frequency changes, everything begins to move with you. If this touched something in you, don't scroll just yet. Let it land. Let it speak to the quiet part inside you. Maybe today isn't about trying harder. Maybe today is about realizing what you've been carrying and gently reminding yourself, "I don't need to be chosen to feel worthy. I can choose myself right now." If you're ready to live in full presence, leave just one word in the comments: present. No explanation, no extra words, just that. And if you're on a journey of coming home to yourself, subscribe. Turn on the bell. Because this space was made to remind you, you are not broken. You are not late. You are simply awakening slowly to the truth that you have always been enough. Have you ever walked into a room and no one said a word, but you could feel something shift? No voice, no announcement. Yet, the energy changed, heavier, lighter, something unseen. It's not just intuition, it's frequency, and it's speaking for you louder than anything you've ever said. Some people walk in, and they don't need to try, don't need to impress. Yet, the whole room turns toward them, and others, polite, well-dressed, perfect on paper, but something about them feels off. What you're sensing isn't charm, it's vibration. Carl Jung didn't use the word energy the way we do, but he understood it deeply. He called it the living field of consciousness, a magnetic force that radiates not just from what you know, but from everything you've repressed, denied, or forgotten. So let me ask you something. Why do you long to be loved so much? Why do you chase success so hard? Why do you need to be seen, to be validated so deeply? If the quiet answer inside is because I'm scared of being left behind, or I don't feel enough without it, then maybe you're not living from your strength. You're living from your wound. And that's a critical difference. Because every desire that comes from a wounded self isn't really a dream. It's a cry from a part of you still waiting to be healed. When you chase love, or approval, or money to fill an inner emptiness, you're no longer the creator of your reality. You're projecting your shadow. Jung called it projection, when we unconsciously cast the parts of ourselves we don't want to see onto other people, onto life. If you haven't faced the fear of abandonment, you'll keep meeting people who make you feel like you're not enough. If you haven't healed the belief that you're only lovable when you're perfect, you'll keep attracting those who only love your mask. Life isn't punishing you, it's mirroring you. And it'll keep doing that again and again until you finally turn inward and meet the part of you you've been avoiding. That's why some people enter a space and the air feels heavy, not because they're bad, but because they're living from their shadow without even knowing it. So pause for just a moment. Ask yourself, how am I showing up? Not what I say, but how do people feel when they sit next to me? If someone sat beside you in silence for 5 whole minutes, what would they feel? Peace, or your effort to appear okay? Grounded presence, or a quiet whisper saying, please, choose me. The world doesn't respond to your effort. It responds to your essence. And the truth is, you don't attract what you want. You attract what mirrors the frequency you live in when no one's watching. Not to blame yourself. We all carry shadows, wounds we're not yet ready to face. But the moment you stop pretending they're not there and gently invite them into the light, everything changes. Not out there, but in here. And that change shifts the entire field you live in. So if you're tired of trying to seem okay, if you feel liked but not truly felt, if you keep meeting people who leave you feeling emptier, not fuller, then maybe it's time to stop chasing the light and start turning toward your shadow. Because only when you hold the part of you you've hidden does your frequency begin to soften. Your presence begins to settle, and the world finally starts reflecting someone new. Not because you did everything right, but because for the first time, you didn't have to do anything at all. You simply came home to yourself. If this touched something inside you even a little, leave just one word in the comments scene. Say it as a quiet nod to yourself today. I no longer hide. Have you ever met someone who looked confident, said the right things, smiled at the right time, and did everything just right? But deep inside, something in you whispered, they're trying too hard. You couldn't explain it, but your body could feel it. It wasn't your mind judging. It was their energy, speaking louder than words. And energy never lies. We were taught, if we try hard enough, act the right way, look like we belong, we'll earn love, we'll be accepted, we'll finally be seen. But the truth is, you don't shape your reality by what you do. You shape it by what you're vibrating. You can perform confidence, wear the perfect smile, say all the right words, but if inside you're still trembling from fear or doubt, people will feel it. Even if they can't name it, they'll sense something's off. They'll pull away. Sometimes they'll leave and not know why. Carl Jung saw this long before energy became a buzzword. He didn't use words like vibration or frequency, but he described something even deeper. He believed the human psyche is made of emotionally charged images, memories, wounds, desires, all the unprocessed parts hidden in your unconscious. And they don't just sit there, they broadcast, like invisible radio waves shaping how people feel around you, how you're treated, and the kind of life you keep recreating. That's why, no matter how polished your words are, people will feel your frequency first. And that's why, the more you try to be seen, the more invisible you become. The harder you try to be liked, the lonelier you feel. Because every effort to impress, even if well-intentioned, can't hide the deeper signal, whispering, "I'm still not enough." You've heard it before. You don't attract what you want. You attract who you are. But no one tells you why. It's not karma. It's not punishment. It's resonance. The energy you radiate pulls in people and experiences that match your inner frequency, over and over until you stop and ask, which part of me is running my life, without me realizing it. That's where one of Jung's most powerful teachings comes in. Individuation. Not self-improvement. Not perfection. Not becoming more likable or productive, but becoming whole. It's the moment you stop cutting parts off. You gather everything, the light and the shadow, the strong and the scared, the proud and the bruised, not to fix, but to integrate. To say you get to exist too, because the parts you hide the most are the ones screaming through your energy. I'm not lovable yet. I have to prove my worth. I'm only safe when I pretend. But when you stop polishing the mask and turn inward, you begin to feel a quiet truth. I don't need to be better to be whole. I just need to be honest with myself. And from that moment on, you stop vibrating fear. You stop chasing. You begin to radiate from your center, not from your shadow. And when you live from wholeness, life stops being a chase for approval. It becomes a mirror, reflecting who you truly are. So if you're tired of always having to try, if you're done pretending just to feel loved, if you're ready to stop performing and start being, start here. No more affirmations, no more goals, just one question. Which part of me am I still pretending doesn't exist? If something in this message touched you even just a little, drop one word in the comments, whole. Let it be your quiet declaration that you're done chasing perfection and you're ready to come home to all of you. Have you ever told yourself, I've let go? But then a pause, a delayed reply, a subtle shift in tone, and your chest tightens. You say you're fine, you say you've healed, but your breath falters, your body tenses, your eyes still search for danger. If you felt this, you're not weak, you're not broken, you're just holding something in a place your mind has never dared to touch. Natalia was that kind of woman, strong, thoughtful, resilient. She walked away from a relationship that nearly crushed her. She meditated, She journaled, she read all the books, she even built a blog to help others heal. From the outside, she was thriving, free, in control. And then someone new walked into her life. Kind, gentle, seemingly safe. At first, she stayed grounded, calm, reminding herself, I'm whole. I don't need anyone to complete me. But slowly, the texts came less often. The replies got shorter. A few days of silence. And suddenly, that old ache returned. She started overthinking, rereading every message, wondering what she might have done wrong. Her breath became shallow, her body tense. But this wasn't about him. This was energy, old energy, still trapped in her system. Carl Jung called this compulsion to repeat, the unconscious urge to recreate old stories in new disguises. Natalia's mind had moved on, but her nervous system hadn't. Because healing isn't just what you think, it's what you vibrate. It's what you broadcast in the silence between your words. You can change your behavior. You can repeat affirmations. But if deep down your energy still whispers, I'm only safe if I'm loved, the universe will mirror that belief until you finally hear it. Natalia didn't beg. She didn't chase, but her silence said everything. Please don't disappear. Please stay long enough for me to feel lovable. Even if she never spoke it, he could feel it. And the energy grew heavy. Not because he was unkind, but because unhealed energy always weighs more. And that's what happens when healing stays in the mind, but doesn't touch the frequency beneath. The real question. Jung's question comes back like a soft echo. What part of me still doesn't believe I'm worthy of love? Because until that part is seen, you'll unconsciously create stories that prove you're not. You'll choose people who make you wait. Not because you don't know better, but because that old emotional blueprint still lives inside you. Until the frequency changes, the pattern stays. The face may change, but the wound, it feels the same. For Natalia, the shift came during what seemed like an ordinary therapy session. She spoke proudly of her healing. Then the therapist looked her in the eyes and said one sentence that shattered her armor. Your mind has let go, but your energy is still holding on. And in that moment, everything cracked. And also, everything opened. Not because she was weak, not because she hadn't done enough, but because the little girl inside her was still whispering, please don't leave me again. So if lately you find yourself checking your phone a little more, if a delayed reply feels like a storm, if silence triggers your breath to shorten, pause, place a hand over your heart, and ask, am I reacting to this moment or reliving an old pain I never healed? If this touched something deep in you, don't explain. Don't overthink. Just type one word in the comments, still holding. Not to judge yourself, but as a quiet declaration that you're ready to let go, not just in your mind, but in your energy. Because love doesn't come when you've done enough. It comes when you stop abandoning yourself. Have you ever told yourself you've let go, but deep down, you're still waiting? You're not texting. You're not calling. You're not reaching out. But inside, you're hoping. Hoping they'll come back. Hoping they'll remember you. Hoping you still matter. That's not peace. That's not release. That's control wearing the mask of silence. We're taught that if we stop texting, if we walk away quietly, that means we've moved on. But the truth, you can be quiet on the outside and completely chaotic within. You can sit still, but your mind is sprinting toward them. Replay after replay. What you said, what they didn't, what could have been. You're not sending messages, but your energy is screaming. Please don't forget me. Please come back. Please make me feel enough. And that isn't letting go. It's just a softer form of control. We've been conditioned to believe control warrants strength, that silence is maturity, that being composed means we've healed. But real strength doesn't need to prove anything. Real strength is quiet, still, centered. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Most of us are not being led by logic. We're being led by fear. The fear of being left. The fear of being forgotten. The fear of not being enough if no one comes back. And no, this doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. But healing doesn't come from pretending. It comes from asking. When I don't text, am I at peace or punishing myself? When I reread the old messages, am I learning something or looking for a lifeline? When I say I'm fine, am I really? Or am I just trying not to fall apart? Control isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks like silence. Sometimes it looks like being the bigger person. Sometimes it even looks like growth. But beneath all that is a child, still waiting, still aching, still terrified of being left again. So, what is true release? It's not apathy. It's not giving up. It's not saying I don't care anymore. It's trust. Trusting yourself. Trusting the timing of your life. Trusting that even if someone doesn't come back, you will still be okay. True letting go is when you stop chasing. Not because you've given up, but because you've come home to yourself. You stop trying to make them stay, because you've finally decided to stay with you. And from that place, life begins to shift. Not because you forced it, but because your energy softened, because you stopped begging and started becoming. Now hear me. Control isn't bad. It's a survival reflex. It was born the moment silence hurt you, when abandonment left a scar, when you learned if I don't hold on, everything disappears. So don't hate the part of you still trying to grip. Look at it gently. Say, I know you're scared. I know why you hold so tight. But now, it's okay to let go. Letting go doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care about you more than the outcome. It means you're finally ready to stop editing your story for someone else's return. Because peace, it isn't about getting what you want. It's about no longer needing it to feel whole. So, if you're waiting in silence, hoping they'll turn around, still holding your breath, pause. Place your hand on your heart and ask, is this peace or just hidden fear? If this touched you, even a little comment below with just 2 words, I release. Let it be your quiet declaration that you're no longer waiting, that you've chosen yourself, that you are already home, not because someone picked you, but because you finally remembered. You've always been enough. Have you ever been around someone who didn't try to impress you, but their presence alone made you feel calm? They didn't need to say much. They didn't have to perform, but something about their energy made you want to stay. That is the power of presence. And it doesn't come from a skill set. It comes from something much deeper. Are you really here? In a world that constantly teaches us to be better, say the right thing, look the right way, make the right impression. Presence, just being fully here, has become a quiet superpower. Someone who's present isn't trying to impress. They don't need to explain themselves. They're not performing for approval. They're simply here, whole, still, at peace. and you feel it before they ever say a word. Their energy walks into the room before they do, and somehow you feel safe. Presence isn't about how long you can sit still. It's not about how well you can meditate. Presence is a frequency. It's an energy field that doesn't chase, doesn't grasp, doesn't convince. It's the feeling of someone who has come home to themselves, someone who doesn't need to prove their worth because they already know they are worthy. Carl Jung called this the expansion of consciousness. The moment when you stop reacting from old wounds and begin living from wholeness. That's where healing begins. Not from doing more, but from actually being here. Daniela was smart, wise, emotionally aware. But for years, every relationship followed the same pattern. It started with excitement, then quickly spiraled into anxiety. A delayed text would send her mind racing. She would overanalyze every word, every pause, every silence. And eventually, she burned out. Until one day, she did something radical. She didn't try harder. She didn't fix herself. She just stopped. She stopped reacting. Stopped overthinking. Stopped asking, what does this mean about me? And instead, she began asking, can I stay with myself, even in uncertainty? That's when she began to practice presence with just her breath, her body, and the silence, not to heal, not to achieve, but to actually be here. And slowly, everything changed. She no longer attracted chaotic connections, no longer repeated the old story of love and loss, no longer vibrated with need, because her frequency had changed. We often think people are drawn to looks, charm, status. But what truly draws us in is the energy of someone who's no longer at war with themselves. Presence isn't loud, it's not flashy, it's quiet, but impossible to ignore. Presence is what happens when you stop chasing the moment and finally live inside it. From that place, connection becomes real, because you're not needing anything from anyone. You're simply sharing the fullness within you. The real tragedy isn't that we're unloved. It's that we're so rarely fully present to feel the love that's already here. We're too busy performing, too busy waiting for texts, too busy interpreting glances. But presence is the doorway back to everything you've ever longed for, because it's the doorway back to you. And from there, you don't need to attract love. Love will recognize you, because you're no longer broadcasting lack, you're radiating truth. So today, I invite you to pause, not to fix anything, not to find the answer, just to ask, am I really here? Or is my mind still chasing a moment that hasn't arrived? If this question touches something in you, leave just one word in the comments: present. Not for the algorithm, but as a quiet vow to your soul, I won't abandon myself anymore. You are here. You are breathing. You are already enough. Have you ever stared at your phone, waiting for a message that never came? You tell yourself, I'm fine, but your chest tightens again. That silence is not release. It's a quiet cry for attention, disguised as peace. Let's be clear. This isn't letting go. It's control dressed in stillness. We confuse reactions with connection. You text first, not from openness, but from fear of being forgotten. You check their status, not out of curiosity, but because a quiet voice inside whispers, if I'm unseen, I will disappear. You might be silent outwardly, but your energy still speaks all the words you didn't say. That is not love. That is anxiety, clinging, lack. And you cannot vibrate from lack and expect to receive wholeness. Real release is not cold, not indifferent, not absence of love. True release is the presence of truth. It is loving from fullness, not from wounded parts, still saying, "Prove I'm worthy." When your actions come from fear, even your most beautiful gestures remain survival tactics. And this is why people drift away, not because you are too much, but because your energy is trying to extract something, even though your words say the opposite. So, what do you do when the old urge resurfaces? When you want a text to check in to hold on to something familiar? You pause. You do something radical, something most of us weren't taught. You stay with yourself, just for 3 minutes, long enough to break the loop. Breathe. Feel the story playing in your mind. Then ask, am I acting from presence or from fear? Because when you act from fear, you abandon yourself in the name of love. And love rooted in self-abandonment can never be where you belong. You were never meant to shrink yourself in someone else's silence. You have the right to love deeply, without chasing to prove your worth, without bracing to stay. Release in vibration is the discipline of loving without demanding to be loved. It's when you look at someone and say, "I see you, I feel deeply, but I will not betray myself to keep you." That is not coldness, that is sacred. A simple practice you can use every time the old impulse surfaces to text, to check, to explain. Pause for just 3 minutes. No phone, no distraction, just you and your breath. Place a hand on your heart and say, "I don't chase, I don't cling, I remain present." Not to convince your mind, but to teach your energy how to trust again. Then, if fear returns tomorrow, repeat this, and again, until presence becomes your home. You don't need to be numb, just unwavering, because when you stop seeking validation, you become a source of true connection. Connection that doesn't demand, doesn't manipulate, just simply says, "You are free to leave." But if you stay, you are with someone already whole. So next time your heart wants to fill the void, don't fill it. Sit with it, breathe through it, and ask, if I don't act, what am I really afraid will happen? Because that answer is the doorway back to true healing. If this opens something inside you, comment. Just one phrase I return. Let it be your soft vow that you will no longer chase love, but instead live at a frequency ready to receive what truly belongs. And if this message has found you at the right time, hit subscribe. Because here, we don't teach you how to attract more. We just remind you, when you truly show up as yourself, everything you need comes to you. Without force. Have you ever stared at your phone, waiting for a message that never came, then whispered to yourself, "I'm fine," while your chest quietly tightened again? That's not letting go. That's a silent cry for help, disguised as peace. And maybe it's time we stop calling fear love. Too often we confuse reaction with connection. We text first, not from freedom, but from fear of being forgotten. We check their status not from curiosity, but from a deep whisper that says, "If no one sees me, do I even exist?" Even when we say nothing, our energy speaks, because love born from fear isn't love. It's anxiety, it's attachment, it's lack, and you cannot vibrate from lack and expect to receive wholeness. So let's be clear. Letting go isn't cold. It isn't numb. It isn't not caring. Letting go at a vibrational level is the presence of truth. It's when you love from fullness, not from a wounded voice still whispering, "Prove to me that I'm enough." When fear drives your action, even the most beautiful gesture is just survival in disguise. And that's why people pull away, not because you're too much, but because your energy is trying to take, even if your words say otherwise. So what do you do when the wave of emotion rises? When you want to text, explain, chase pause. Do the one thing most of us were never taught. Stay with yourself, just for 3 minutes. That's enough to interrupt the old loop. Breathe. Notice the story your mind is spinning. And instead of reacting, ask, am I doing this from presence or from fear? Because the moment fear moves your body, you've abandoned yourself in the name of love. But love, that comes from self-abandonment, will never feel like home. You weren't born to shrink in love, to tiptoe around silence, to earn your place with effort. You get to love deeply without chasing to feel worthy, without performing just to stay. Letting go in vibration is the discipline of loving without begging to be loved. It's looking someone in the eye and saying, I see you. My feelings are real, but I won't betray myself just to keep you. That's not indifference. That's sacred. Here's a simple practice. One that, if done daily, can change everything. Each time the old urge returns to text check, prove, pause. 3 minutes. No phone, no noise, just you and your breath. Place your hand on your heart and whisper, I don't chase. I don't cling. I'm present. Not to convince yourself, but to teach your energy how to trust again. And if fear comes back tomorrow, repeat and repeat until presence becomes your home. You don't need to be unbothered. You just need to stop abandoning yourself. Because the moment you stop seeking validation, you begin to radiate connection. True connection. Not needy, not manipulative, just presence. Saying, you're free to leave. But if you stay, know you're sitting beside someone whole. So next time your heart wants to fill the silence with action, don't fill it. Sit with it. Breathe with it. And ask, if I don't move, what am I truly afraid will happen? Because that answer is the doorway to your healing. If this touched something inside you, comment one word below, coming home. Let that be your quiet vow, that you will no longer chase love. You'll live as love. And from that frequency, what's meant for you will arrive without force. And if this message came to you at just the right time, subscribe. Because here, we don't teach you how to attract more. We remind you, when you're fully present, what's meant for you will find you. What if I told you that the love you've been longing for, the kind that feels like home, like peace, like truth, won't come? Not until you stop searching for someone to save the emptiness inside you. Because real love doesn't come to heal you. It arrives only when you begin to heal yourself. When we love from emptiness, we're not really loving the other person. We're loving the relief they bring. Loving the way they quiet our fears. Loving the text that makes us feel seen. The voice that calms our anxiety. But here's the truth. The moment they don't respond, or say something we weren't hoping for, our entire nervous system collapses, not because they're wrong, but because we were using their love like a painkiller. And now, that supply is cut off. But when healing begins, something changes. You no longer love to get. You love to share. You no longer need their message to feel like you matter. You don't fall apart in silence because your inner world is steady. Love stops being a transaction. It becomes a celebration of the fullness already living in your heart. So ask yourself this: only if you're ready to be radically honest, am I searching for love? Or searching for someone to prove I'm lovable if a late reply throws you off? If a compliment makes your day? If silence feels like rejection instead of freedom? That's not love. That's a wound, still waiting to be held. And no one, not even the most loving partner, can endlessly feed a hunger that was never theirs to fix. Most of the pain we feel in love is not about the present. It's an echo, a frequency from childhood, still broadcasting beneath the surface. That ache when someone pulls away. It's not just about them. It's the 6-year-old inside you, still waiting for someone to stay, still hoping to hear you're worthy, even when no one replies. But that healing, it doesn't come from the outside. It can't. Because the wound didn't start with them. It started the moment you forgot your own worth. Real love doesn't patch you up. It mirrors you. It amplifies the light you've already discovered inside. And the most beautiful love stories, they don't begin with two people needing each other. They begin when two souls learn how to be whole on their own and then choose to walk together. Not from fear, but from freedom. That's love. Not addiction, not performance, not dependency. Freedom, meeting freedom. Truth, recognizing truth. So if you're sitting in silence, still waiting, still craving someone to make you feel enough, pause, breathe, and ask, am I looking for love or someone to save me from my own emptiness? Because the moment you stop outsourcing your worth, that's the moment real love begins to find you. If this touched something deep inside you, comment with, I choose wholeness. Let that be your quiet revolution, your turning point, the moment you stop begging and start blooming. Before you say a single word, before the smile, the gesture, the introduction, people feel you. They may not be able to name it, but they sense it. An energy field you carry, even if you don't know it's there. Carl Jung once said, others do not love you for what you do. They are drawn by the energy field you do not realize you are radiating. Let that sink in. Not your resume, not your outfit, not the clever things you've rehearsed, but the invisible space around you, shaped by your beliefs, your emotions, and your deepest vibrations. That's what people actually meet before they ever meet you. You don't need to talk too much. You don't need to impress. Even in silence, your energy speaks. And it's always saying one of two things: I'm afraid I'm not enough, or I've already chosen myself. So be honest. When you walk into a room, are you radiating the energy of waiting to be chosen, or the calm knowing that says, I already belong even before anyone approves? We often confuse effort with essence. We try so hard to look right, to speak right, to follow the right texting rules. But if deep inside, you're still aching for acceptance, still watching to see if you're loved, that energy leaks out. The world picks it up, before logic, before language, because energy is primal, and it enters the room before your body does. You've felt this too, haven't you? Someone walks in, they don't say much, they're not loud, they're not flashy, but something shifts. The air feels safer, calmer. You're drawn in. That's not charisma. That's inner alignment. That's someone who no longer reacts from pain, but radiates from wholeness. So, how do you shift your frequency? How do you walk into a room, not waiting to be chosen, but fully anchored in your own presence? It's simple. Before any big moment, a meeting, a date, a conversation, pause. Just 5 seconds. Take a deep breath. Place your hand on your heart and whisper, I don't need to be chosen. I've already chosen myself. Let that land in your body. Feel it in your spine. Let it become the baseline frequency you emit. Because when you truly believe it, the world feels it. The world is changing. People no longer respond to surface-level confidence. They respond to resonance. They feel when you're trying. They feel when you're performing. But they also feel when you're being real. And when you live from that place, you no longer chase. You no longer prove. You no longer hustle for your worth. Because your energy already said it all. It says, this person knows who they are. They're not here to impress. They're here to connect. So next time you want to make an impression, don't just rehearse your lines, adjust your frequency, because what you radiate is your truest introduction. If this message stirred something in you, leave a comment below. I choose myself. Say it like a vow, like a sacred promise. Before you say a word, before the smile, before the gesture, before the introduction. People already feel you. They may not know what it is, but something in their body senses it. A frequency, a vibration, a field of energy you carry. Carl Jung once said, people don't love you for what you do. They're drawn to the energy you don't even know you're radiating. So pause for a moment. It's not your resume, not your perfectly chosen outfit, not even your charming words. It's the space around you built from your core beliefs, your quietest emotions, and the frequency that lives deep inside your nervous system. That's what people meet before they ever meet you. You don't need to talk much. You don't need to try hard. Because even in silence, your energy is speaking. And it's always saying one of two things: I'm still afraid I'm not enough. Or I've already chosen myself. So be honest. When I enter a room, am I carrying the energy of someone waiting to be picked, or someone who already belongs with or without approval? We've been taught to try so hard. Dress well, speak right, send the perfect message, show we're chill, confident, high value. But if your inner child is still hoping to be seen, still asking, am I enough yet? That energy leaks out whether you speak or not. People feel it, even if they don't know why. Because energy is ancient. It always enters the room before your body does. You felt this too. Someone walks in. They don't say much. They're not loud. But the air shifts. You feel calm, safe, drawn to them. That's not charm. That's alignment. That's someone who's not trying to impress, not performing, not waiting. That's someone who's living from truth. So how do you become that? How do you shift your frequency? It's simpler than you think. Before any important moment, a date, a meeting, a conversation, pause. Take one deep breath. Place your hand on your heart and say, I don't need to be chosen. I already chose myself. Feel it. Let it settle into your bones. Because when you believe that the world believes it too. People today don't respond to surface confidence. They respond to resonance. They can feel when you're trying. They can feel when you're acting. But they also feel when you're real. And when you live from that place, you stop chasing. You stop proving. You stop asking to be enough. Because your energy is already saying, this person knows who they are. They didn't come to impress. They came to connect. So next time you want to be seen, don't just prepare your lines. Tune your energy. Because what you radiate is your truest introduction. If this stirred something in you, leave a comment below, I choose myself. Say it like a vow, a promise to your soul. Because when you choose yourself, you stop asking the world to decide your worth.